Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. This is Around the Blockchain here. As you know, we come to you Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host today, Jay Chains. I'm your regular Friday host, and we are so glad to see you. We got a fantastic show to you. Wow, look at those guns. He's got the sleeveless on today. Wow, I like that, Ben. Great job. All right, who do we got on the show? Nick Dimondi. Now, Nick, earlier this week, you almost won. We were pretty excited to see that. Let's see. We've got Arcane Bear almost hitting 50,000 subscribers. Go over and give him some love. And last but not least, in his last video, he taught you some RSI in 1 minute. Go check it out. That's Johnny Crypto. How we doing, everybody? It's Friday. Good week. Good week. Here we go. So this is Around the Blockchain. If this is your first time watching the show, you will notice everybody's got a little score down in the bottom corner of their box. If you're in the chat and you like what you're hearing from them, give me a +1. You'll hear that noise, and we'll give them some points. Whoever's got the most points at the end of the show gets to leave us with a little bit of a parting word. Now, before we get into the show, I think it's time for a little market watch. Pop over here to CoinMarketCap. As you can see, the global crypto market cap is 2.06 trillion, which is down almost 2.5% from yesterday. We got some trending coins, but let's take a look at Bitcoin, 45,000. Man, really was hoping we'd get this thing up a little bit higher this week, but I look forward to talking about it on this show. ETH, 3246. And last but not least, a slow and painful death, SafeMoon. It's on its way down the river. I know Nick Dimondi was real happy about that one. All right, so we got some great topics today. We're going to be talking about whales making some big splashes, the Binance Smart Chain versus Ethereum, and we'll wrap it up with Bitcoin. Are we consolidating or are we dumping? We'll find out because it is the weekend. All right, guys, if you're watching live, make sure that you hit the like button and get down into the description and go down to our guest channels. Make sure that you follow them, like their content. They put out some amazing, amazing stuff. All right, I think it's time to get into this. It is time to get into today's show because it is a Friday edition of Around the Blockchain. Let's start with Ethereum whales making splashes. No pun intended, but it sounds like that might be an intended pun. Thanks, DZ. DZ wrote the script today. All right, the amount of ETH held in the top 10 wallets has recently risen to a 51-month peak. Now, these addresses hold about 21.3% of the circulating supply of Ethereum, quite a bit. Arcane Bear, do you think that these 10 wallets are individuals or institutions?
Well, you'd be surprised how few individuals actually have an enormous amount of money. When you look at the distribution of wealth, it's actually quite often that what you get is single individuals that have an enormous amount. So I've managed to make a few friends over the years that have more money than like 90% of all of the people on the planet. So I would guess actually a big chunk of them are individuals because they probably have an easier time deciding to accumulate such an abstract asset like Ethereum, whereas a company or an institution going out there and trying to acquire is still probably on its wits end trying to convince board members that these are good ideas. Although it's difficult to say, I do believe that there is a pretty cool Ethereum tracker out there that does kind of label each wallet. I haven't checked that in a while. That would probably be my first go-to guess to try to track it down. But I would actually guess individuals over institutions. And then second, institutions, because there are big players out there. BlackRock has been speaking of quite frequently actually about buying in the crypto sector. You've got Jim Simmons as well. Their fund, the Medallion Fund, started buying Bitcoin and Ethereum pretty early in this cycle around March, April, May 2020. So almost a year and a half ago now. Wow, time flies. So, but I would actually guess more individuals than institutions, just because it seems like they might have troubles trying to convince everyone that this is a good idea. In these early days, even in the early days of the internet, people were slow to adoption. You know, you look at who was making websites. I think Coca-Cola probably took 10 years to have a Coca-Cola.com website. So I would probably guess individuals, but that is entirely conjecture. I have no proof of that. So please know that I'm just making stuff up for that particular answer.
Excellent. Johnny, what do you think? Do you think it's institution or do you think it's individuals or institutional investors?
I'm going to be devil's advocate on that. I'm going to say it's institutions, whether that's in a custodial account or a trust account. I believe it's probably compiled money when we go in there. Is with Bitcoin, it's been around for so long. Excuse me for freaking out there for a second. It's been around for a while, and Vitalik and everybody, as soon as it started, potentially they probably own the majority of it. But since now Bitcoin is becoming more mainstream and crypto is becoming more mainstream, and Ethereum is the front runner right now. It's the kind of the roadmap. Everything is built on Ethereum. I would say bigger players are getting involved, and they've got the majority of the shareholder, because like you just said, 10 wallets own 21% of all the market supply in Ethereum. I don't think there's that many wealthy single individuals in there. I bet this is compiled money when it comes to institutions, because if you look at anybody, they've got a growth capital stream. Like in the stock market, most big corporations are the ones that are going in there. Yeah, answer your question. I don't think it's individuals. I think it's institutions.
Okay, that makes sense. Ben, let me ask you a question. So this is the largest amount of ETH that we're seeing being held since May of 2017. And historically, we know that whales will accumulate in bear markets versus the bull markets. With that being said, do you think this is a good or a bad sign?
Well, I mean, whales accumulate all the time. Like, that's the thing about it. Because what a lot of these whales are doing is, like, I mean, Johnny's right. I mean, they're institutions for sure. They're definitely not retail investors. I know who the people are that own some of these wallets. They're definitely not retail investors. I'll tell you that much. But the fact is that they also accumulate during times where we're at right now. Because what is it about? It's about getting gains, okay? Bear market, the gains are obvious, right? But it's a much longer term hold there to get those gains. When Bitcoin dips down to $44,000 from 52, and it's going to go back up, to 100,000 by the end of this year. I mean, we think very soon. Then what that means is that's a much shorter term hold. All they got to do is accumulate when it dips down, and then that's an easy $10,000 when it gets just back out to 52 or 53, spread out across, every single wallet that they own. Of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin here, but Ethereum, is the exact same thing. I mean, when Ethereum drops from $4,000 all the way down to $3,000, that's easy short-term money. So we're talking about kind of the difference between long-term whale accumulation, where they're trying to stack up as much Ethereum as they can over time, versus kind of a shorter-term idea of accumulation where they're trying to swoop in, get on dips, get short-term returns, they're still going to be making money either way.
Absolutely. We do see accumulation, like you said, happening all the time, but they have bigger opportunities when the markets go bearish.
Right.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Nick, I'm going to bring this next one to you now. With some of the movement that we saw in these ETH wallets, 92,742 ETH, which translates to about $321 million, was moved from an unknown wallet to Binance. Is this like concerning for you to see one wallet move that much money over to an exchange?
I mean, yeah, it's not great. There's a lot of money behind Binance, so that's working into their ecosystem, and Binance is in an epic struggle with the digital currency group, and they're filling their war chest, and there's also a lot of money that's exchanging hands on Binance because it's cheaper to make those quick gains. You're not paying those exorbitant gas fees like you are on the Ethereum chain right now. So, I mean, it's concerning for whales getting more money and the retail investors not getting as much. But I mean, it's bullish overall. Any sort of activity that's that large, that's they didn't tether out, right? They're keeping it on the blockchain. So I think overall that's positive.
Nick, are you going to be able to get all those packages out?
Dude, I'm trying. So the sooner we can get the show over, I can probably make it to FedEx in time.
My gosh, that's a lot of packages back there.
It's like Milton from Office Space. Just get him a red stapler; he'll be all right.
That's everyone's buying merch.
Yeah, everyone's buying a merch at BitBoyCrypto.com. The merch is incredible. So
I'm seeing a lot in the chat. People are asking about this hat. I'm pretty sure it'll be available soon on the website. I would assume something very similar.
It's one of the best plugs in history, right there.
There you go. All right, I want to ask this. Oh, go ahead.
So I just would like to point out that a massive amount showed up onto Binance, but to my understanding, most of Ethereum is in cold storage. To me, whenever there's money onto an exchange, that's when people try to get rid of it and sell it. But I believe most of Ethereum is in cold storage, which by definition means they're hodling and they're waiting for it to run up. And I think there hasn't been as many wallets that are just holding since May of 2017. And what happened in the summer of 2017, we had this massive run up. So by that definition, it looks like potentially these guys might be front running, holding on, waiting for a much bigger opportunity than selling it once it goes on an exchange. I don't know. It's kind of ironic hearing that one big wallet put about a bunch of money onto an exchange when the majority of them are holding onto it off the exchange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not your keys, not your coins. Never hold. If you're just going to hold, don't just hold it on the exchange. Everybody knows that. Okay. So this next question is, I want everybody just to give me a one-word answer. As we're starting to see some ETH alternatives become a little bit more popular, we saw Mike Tyson just tweet out Solana or ETH. What do you think Mike Tyson is going to buy, Solana or ETH? Nick, let's start with you.
What do I think Mike Tyson's going to buy? I mean, Mike Tyson.
Wait, is that buy or bite?
Both. Look,
team
Mike
bite.
Tyson.
Nick is team bite.
He's a biter. Yeah. He's team biter.
Yeah.
Got him.
Yeah. Great job, guys. Great job. So Mike Tyson is a very shrewd business person. He's got a lot of smart people around him. So people think, oh, Mike Tyson, he just got punched in the face a bunch of times and he's dumb and he's just this fighter. No. He is a savvy business person and he works with smart people. So he's gonna pick the winning team, and he already knows what he's gonna buy. He's probably already bought it. Probably already bought both, but he's probably buying Ethereum, probably because it's easier for him to say. But that's where the smart money's going. And Mike Tyson, like I said, he's built a media empire around his brand, and he knows where the real money at for the bear market is in NFTs, and that's where Ethereum is gonna be the top dog in that house. So he knows he's getting himself set up in a really great spot for the future.
That was a great one-word answer. Thank you, Nick. Johnny Crypto, what about you?
Sorry.
I got a couple words. Don't drop a dime for a nickel. So I'm going to say Ethereum. And I didn't even know he bit anybody.
Vander Holyfield, he bit his ear off.
I know.
Okay.
You're a little too young, Johnny. A little too young.
Yeah.
Arcane,
I think I was in the 7th grade when it happened.
When he was in jail, I heard he did like 1,000 push-ups a day and like 500 pull-ups. So when he got out, he was like ready to go. So I think somebody's telling him what to buy.
I would assume he's got some advisors for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Arcane, what do you think?
Well, I would definitely assume that he's buying Solana as well. I wouldn't bet against Sam Bankman-Fried. That is for damn sure. Not everything that kid has touched has turned into some type of diamond or platinum or something. I think people really underestimated what Solana was capable of. But don't underestimate communities. The strength around the FTX community, the Serum protocol, the speed and the development at which these guys have built something. A lot of people didn't like the Binance Smart Chain. And one of the reasons why I was an early supporter is just they had such a large community. The BitBoy channel, for example, this community can do so much together when it collaborates. And I really think people underestimate that. The fact, I could make an argument that Ethereum may be nothing but an NFT platform in the future. Just as a kind of a side point, if you're a good investor, you're not diversifying because you don't know what you're doing. You're diversifying because the market doesn't really lead itself through technology. The Blu-ray was better than the DVD. The beta cassette tape was better than, or the tape deck, and all of those were eventually replaced by different and newer technologies. So it's really hard to see the future. And when smart investors are investing, I think that they invest on the idea that they don't always know what the future is going to hold. So therefore, diversification into these assets, especially when you've got such a big community behind them, would make sense. So I would assume both.
All right. I'd like to hear it. Ben, what do you think?
What's the question? Is Mike Tyson buying Ethereum or Solana?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, he's probably buying both if he's smart. But I mean, once again, this idea that we're like trying to push Solana up to be competitive with Ethereum is all kind of silly. It's nowhere near Ethereum. It's not going to be anywhere near Ethereum. It's made nice gains. It's made more gains for me this year than Ethereum has, but Ethereum's development pool is so much bigger. All that it boils down to is that financial cartel is pushing Solana to where it is now. And they're trying, what they're doing is working, actually, because what they're trying to do is by pumping the price, they're trying to convince you that Solana will be competitive with Ethereum. This is all done through price pumping, 100%. You think Solana is organically running up, 2x in a week when the rest of the market is down? Not a chance. So, and there's no coincidence, I remind you all, this giant pump started the first week that we told you Solana had become the #1 institutional investment target. So, obviously buy Ethereum, buy Solana too. It's going to go up. But, don't try to tell me that right now Solana is in any possible way ready to compete with Ethereum as an ecosystem.
Ben, but even at these levels, like we've had a huge correction, but Solana keeps.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
Well, no, I'm talking more from the platform. Like I'm talking more like they're pumping the price. The financial cartel, Coinbase Ventures, Digital Currency Group, all these people are pumping the price of Solana. So yeah, if you just want to ride with it, jump in. I don't know where it'll stop, but it'll stop at some point. But the price pumping has zero to do with the actual technology and the actual platform and the number of users.
Yeah, it's a hackathon, baby.
Hackathon. That's the biggest joke in the world.
All right. Let's go on to the next topic. Before we do, let's see. Frank, what do we got? 1,000 likes with, 8,000 viewers? Let's get that up. Smash that like. When you get that up, it's Friday. All right. Let's move on to the next one. This is going to be, we're talking about Binance Smart Chain versus Ethereum. Now, the Binance Smart Chain has processed 10 times more transactions than ETH did in August, and a lot of retail investors are now attracted to the low fees, but it's not the gas fees that led to this. It's the high-end investors, apparently. Let's see. Arcane Bear, were you surprised that Binance Smart Chain has done 10x the amount of ETH transactions?
No, not at all. Again, I think people are always searching for first off, a cheaper and easier way to do things. And again, one of the reasons why I was bullish on both BNB and the BSC chain in August of 2020 was because of that large scale community. Now, the most of what I've seen launch on the Binance Smart Chain is actually total garbage. And what you saw was most of the scammers went to the Binance Smart Chain because it was incredibly expensive to try to rip people off on the Ethereum chain. So the Binance chain, what I saw was mostly garbage. Now, that's not entirely true. With the ease of interoperability, how you can take one token from the Binance Smart Chain and move it to the Avalanche and then to the Ethereum chain. I think the interoperability has massively increased the potential for good projects to be launched on Binance. Especially in the DeFi sector, you can execute a lot of the same Ethereum virtual machine contracts on top of the Binance Smart Chain. So there was a really easy alpha choice there. But at least from what I saw on the front end version, the majority of the scams, the get rich quicks, the anti-Doges, the Shiba, like why did Coinbase list Shiba token? What the fuck is going on? And then this year so far makes no sense to me. But again, these what I saw at least was mostly the scams or these pump and dump tokens moved to the Binance Smart Chain just because it was really easy to spin something up, launch it, and then dump on the token holders. So I would assume that the majority of that, even the large tokens that are there, or even the large holders that are there right now, probably made their money from that. So.
Awesome. Johnny, now do you think a lot of what we're seeing is really just bot action and it shouldn't even be newsworthy?
I think it's got more to do with the fees. I'm sure bigger investors do play a bunch into it, but if you're looking at, look at PancakeSwap. It's now the biggest decentralized exchange, and they use Binance because Ethereum is too expensive. Uniswap is now not the biggest. I personally think it's got more to do just with the transaction and fees. And right now, Binance is that coin. The smart chain, the blockchain to use. Ethereum just isn't ready yet. I'm sure when Ethereum 2.0 comes out, everyone is going to use it. And that's essentially going back to what we were talking about previously. That's why you've got massive amounts of money accumulating Ethereum. We don't have a story of that massive amount of people are accumulating Binance. Even Vitalik said that Binance is more centralized, just because of its regulations, and Ethereum is a little bit more open. to everything. So I think it's just a matter of time. Right now, Binance is the place to go, but in the future, it's going to be Ethereum. I'm not talking about 2 months from now. I'm talking 3 to 5 years from now. It's almost like the whole Tesla type deal. Tesla has the market share as far as the gas pumps, within 100 miles of everywhere in the United States. They've got the infrastructure built up. Ethereum has the infrastructure built up. Now everyone is trying to play catch up in order to get on the same bar, and it's going to take time to do that. So Binance, obviously, good on them for seeing, hey, let's make our own blockchain and let's do the same thing and piggyback off of Ethereum. Let's rip them off, basically the same idea. So answering your question, I think it's more about the transaction fees as of right now. I think it's a fad, and the trend is going to discontinue at some point. It'll move back over to Ethereum.
All right, thank you, Nick. I'm going to bring this next one to you, kind of piggybacking or playing a little bit off of what Johnny had just said there, speaking about PancakeSwap and stuff like that. Now, there was a large spike of DeFi protocol liquidity providers who profited over 100K, and there's a high volume of stablecoin transactions on PancakeSwap, the most popular Binance Smart Chain DEX. What do you prefer, Uniswap or PancakeSwap, or are you more of a waffle or a pancake fan?
It depends on the morning, but I gotta say, like, some French toast can be some really good some good breakfast. But
freedom toast.
Freedom toast.
Yeah, freedom toast. Although they're protesting passports, so we're not. So here's the thing. What was the question?
What do you prefer, PancakeSwap or Uniswap? What do you prefer to use?
Well, it depends on what I'm trying to get. So if I'm doing, like, I do a bunch of yield farming on PancakeSwap, staking some high risk yield farms and some low risk yield farms, and it's done pretty well for me so far. But as far as like trying to degen into the latest token, I mean, you're insane if you're trying to pick a good token on BSC. Like, that's insane. So Uniswap for me for the past month has been unusable because I don't have big bags. I'm still pretty new to crypto, so the gas fees are just so exorbitant that it's made it, as far as for like degenning into different altcoins and whatnot, it's very, very difficult. So, like, for instance, I bought something the other week, and I was gonna use Tether, and I ended up using Tether on like the Tron network. Instead of, because it would have cost me $60 to move some Tether on ERC20, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So, that's the answer to that question. So Ethereum's got to fix that quick.
Yeah, that was like that time that you tried to get me to spend $30 in fees to pay you $20 for our fantasy football league. That didn't happen.
Yeah, and I do apologize.
You sound like the U.S. government.
Oh, that was good. All right, but so BNB is down on the day. It's down 15% this week, dipped to about 30% at one point on Tuesday. Ben, do you think that we're going to see BNB continue to stay in the top 5?
That's a really great question. Something I've been thinking a lot about here recently. Because, I mean, when you look at Solana and XRP, they're right behind it. I would say no. I think Solana and XRP are probably both going to pass it by the end of this bull run. And I mean, a real dark horse to watch out for as well is Polkadot. I mean, Polkadot certainly could have, with these parachains coming up, could have a run similar to what we've seen from Solana in the last couple of weeks. And Luna, Terra Luna is a little further back at number 11, but it's been crushing it as well. I mean, it's up 36% today. But I would say I definitely believe I will say yes, because I definitely believe by the end of this bull run, XRP will be past Binance Coin, which would drop it out of the top 5. Solana, like, it's so hard to imagine this just continuing to pump like it has. It has to have a correction at some point. There's no doubt about it. We thought it would be, after the hackathon announcement that was so dumb at $130, it dropped to $110. So there was a correction, but there's got to be a major correction at some point. Like, it just has to happen. I don't see any way around it. So I'm going to say yes, Binance Coin drops out, but I'm going to say XRP will be the one to pass it.
Okay. And kind of, I'm going to ask you one more question, then we're going to move on to the last topic for the day. And I'm only asking you this because you're our resident TikTok guy. Now, we saw TikTok fully embrace the Binance Smart Chain, especially with pushing the meme coins this year, earlier on. Moving forward, do you think the Binance Smart Chain is going to be the way to onboard more people into the crypto space using platforms like TikTok?
No, that's dumb. I don't think that's good. I think, look, I really want to go back to what I think Johnny was talking about a minute ago with, it was just the place to be. Binance Smart Chain at that time was just the place to be. The degens are always on the next platform. So you know where they're at right now? They're at Solana. Guess where we're going to be at here in a few weeks? They're going to be a Cardano. They're going to be looking. Wait until people start running the Cardano scams. That's going to come for sure when they can create those native tokens. So I think Binance Smart Chain had its time in the sun. It like when people were moving away from Ethereum because of the gas fees. That's what it was. Johnny was talking about the gas fees. The gas fees were definitely something that were pushing people over to BSC, but that made it a ripe, fertile crescent, if you will, for scammers. And so there's a very thin line between crypto degens and scammers. And not that people that are crypto degens are also scammers, but what I mean is there's a very, I remember reading this thread by a guy who became a millionaire off of a couple of Ethereum. He turned a couple of Ethereum into over $1 million by constantly investing in every new token that just came out. A lot of them were scams, and he was okay with that. He's like, I know this thing's going to be a scam. I know that 1 out of every 5 I'm going to put my money on are going to pop, and I'm going to lose all that money. But the 1 out of 5 that I get that really pops is going to make up the difference, and I'm going to end up making money on every single one. That's the mindset of the degen. And, a lot of crypto degens grow up, and they become smarter investors where they made a lot of money on the small coins, and now they have enough money to put them in the bigger coins and just be comfortable with a 10x gain. You don't always have to have a 1000x gain, because eventually that game will burn you. So Binance Smart Chain became the place for that to happen. And guess who fits the bill of crypto degens to a T? That would be your Generation Z, your Gen Zers, because they're looking for that quick come up. They don't look, we love Gen Zers. I'm not saying they're all like this, but they don't want to do traditional jobs. They don't want to work. They want to be able to get a lot of money without doing a lot of stuff. I mean, that's the dream that everybody has, right? And so really, that's why I think that message resonated so well on TikTok, because you got a lot of people that, maybe they're getting ready to get out of college. They don't know what they're going to do, or maybe they're just getting ready to go into college and they just want to get money quick. They want to get it as fast as possible. I think that really was the perfect storm for Binance Smart Chain to really blow up and for the scams to blow up there as well.
Excellent. All right. Before we move on to our last topic for the day, let's just double check. Frank, what do we got for likes? Like 1,900? Somewhat like that, right? Yeah. Looks like about 1,900. Let's try to get that up well over 2,000 before we end the show. So if you haven't liked it yet, get in there. Tell a friend. Tell your mom. Tell your brother. Tell your cousin. Let's get those likes up. All right, let's move on. Bitcoin consolidation or dumping. Now, we had another dump this week, but Bitcoin did hold support at the critical 200-day moving average of about 46K. But it is important to see that Bitcoin continued to keep support and then start reclaiming that 47.2 mark. Johnny, what about these moving averages make them strong indicators?
Technical analysis is basically past performance predicting future price movement. That's all it is. Short term, it can work sometimes, but over the long run, you got to look at fundamentals. And right now, what's going on in the market, I feel like is just so much noise, with the news with Solana and everything jumping on with Binance. It's just, we got to just forget about the noise. And over the long term, realize that markets are going to fluctuate and go up and down. And just what Ben was saying, as far as the young kids are wanting just instant gratification. They don't want to work, and honestly, the social platforms like TikTok, you've got 60 seconds to say, hey, I'm this billionaire, and you take a little photo of a Lambo, people believe you. This stuff has been around for a long time as far as psychology, like Ben talking about some dude changing an Ethereum into $1 million. Most people can't do that because of the psychological, hey, I'm holding on to something because I think Dogecoin is going to go to $1 million. I mean, just as some examples, 1929, we had the great recession, It all started with a 90% drop in prices, but it came back. You know, you had the big ugly, which is notorious for the Black Monday, as far as the stocks went down 22%, everyone panicked. Well, it recovered. Right now, we're going through a 20% correction. With crypto, everything is just so much more extravagant, and people are more used to these corrections. Nobody's immune to this stuff. In 2008, Warren Buffett, he lost $25 billion. So as far as the moving averages, yeah, we're kind of right around the 200-day, which is a bad sign for Bitcoin, because if you drop below it, it shows, hey, we're in a bear market. It's, about $800 below it. I'm not worried. I think that this is just pressure going all the way down. And to be honest, I feel like any pullback is a gift. If you're accumulating wealth, if you're accumulating coins, and you have a long-term outlook on this stuff, you're going to do just fine. So the goal is just to buy the dip, as much as people say. Try not to be over leveraged, because then you just waste the money of you buying the dip, and just hold on. And I think everything else is just kind of news. So forgive me digressing. I tend to do that a lot, but that's my whole thing with the moving averages. I think this has got more to do fundamentally than it does technically, and that's my 2 cents.
Buy the dip and don't forget to DCA. Nick, coming up with you the next one. Now, spot exchange reserves printed another multi-year low, showing strong accumulation, especially with long-term holders and entities with a low history of selling. Do you believe that there's whales manipulating this market? And in the long term, do you think that they're going to have anything to do with why it's so volatile? That was kind of a weird question. I'm sorry if you don't understand it.
I understand everything, so that's fine.
Good.
Here's the deal with the whales. So yeah, so the whole world economy, and they've been telegraphing what they want to do for the past 10 years. The World Economic Forum is just repeatedly telling you, you're going to own nothing and like it. So we're moving from a wealth economy to an ownership economy. And if you can own Bitcoin, you're going to be able to own digital things and own other things. And so they want to remove as much of that potential from the regular retail investor and little guy as possible. So you bet your butt that they're going to manipulate and they're going to hold. And they're also there's a game they're playing right now, because deflation is coming. So if they can make gains on the thing that is more valuable than the dollar, and then dump it at the peak, and then you've made a whole bunch of gains, and then the dollar is going to deflate and rise in value, and then you scoop up more Bitcoin and other cryptos during the bear market. They're going to be in it. So guess what, folks? Ben says this pretty much every day on the channel. You're swimming with the whales. So play their game, and you're going to do all right. Bitcoin's been, we wicked down close to the 200-day moving average, but it's still in a very strong pattern. So yeah, if you're looking at like the weekly chart, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. But like, when in doubt, zoom out, look at what's happening with Bitcoin. There isn't a lot of FUD coming out, and when there is FUD coming out, it just doesn't really seem to move it all that much. It's moving on its own as the whales wish.
Excellent. A great answer for a question you did or didn't understand. I loved it.
I fully comprehended it.
Perfect. Arcane Bear, I'm going to bring this one to you now. CryptoQuant showed that coins older than 12 months continued to hold, while the same 3 to 6 month holders panic sold once again. What advice do you have for these newer coin holders who might be tempted to sell, especially as in a panic sell, really?
One of the things we try to constantly repeat and share with everyone is that long-term accumulation is really the best path to success. I think Warren Buffett said it best. It says the easiest way for an ordinary person to achieve extraordinary things. I had a nice quote last week while I was freestyling. It was that investing is trading dollars for assets, and trading is trading assets for dollars. Effectively, when they're printing dollars at such an extraordinary rate, the price and the inflation of all these assets has been going up. The property that I bought in Costa Rica, the cryptocurrency sector. If you rewind in history and just only accumulate, you actually do extraordinarily well. There's some really cool PDFs by both Fidelity and Schwab. Not that I'm big fans of these, but they talk about like the best investors and the best times to buy. And effectively, The best investors, they came to the conclusion of, were dead. They were people that never touched their portfolio after they had originally accumulated those assets. Again, the downside is that if you don't have a lot of money, you think that you're buying assets to have more dollars. And that's not how big players think. Big players, or whales, as we like to call them, have enough dollars to buy as many assets as they would generally like. So what they try to do is go through long periods of accumulation. So if you go back to 2013 to 2017, there's this very extended trading range where the high was 1,000 and the low was around $200 for Bitcoin. If you had just effectively bought every new moon or every 19th of the month, whatever you'd like to do, and ignored the price, you would do extraordinarily well. And I think that most people, because they get stuck in the idea that investing is a way to make more dollars instead of investing as a way to accumulate more assets, they make emotional mistakes along that progress because they think that the dollar is the end result instead of the asset. I'm looking to have more assets. I want more, if I was going to say something ridiculous, I want more NFT horses. I want more Bitcoin. I want more land, and I want more waterfalls effectively. So I'm not trying to trade my assets for dollars. You should generally be focused on revenue generation and then moving that revenue into assets because they're going to continue to print the dollar. The Fed has clearly proven to us that they have no alternative backup plan to what they're doing. So they're going to continually increase the monetary supply rate. If you go and you chart the M2 or the monetary supply versus the S&P 500 over the last 20 years, they're identical. Every time they print dollars, the prices of assets increase. So I think that because people get caught up in this kind of layman's acquisition process where, oh, I'm going to trade my assets for dollars so I can live my daily life. The people that already have $1 billion plus, they're just going to continue to accumulate basically regardless of what the price is. So if you switch to being like pretending you already have $1 billion, like, well, great, I'm just going to accumulate assets over the next 10 years, you will do so much better than had you been trying to like buy here and sell there and trade this for that thing. Good investors just want more assets, and they will find new ways to generate revenue if they need capital to do so.
I fully agree with you there. All right, I've got one last question, and it's going to come to all of you. Now, earlier in the show, I asked you all for a one-word answer, and I got more than that. This time, I would like you to keep it to just the one word. We are approaching the weekend. Today is Friday. It is Friday afternoon. When we get to Monday, are we going to be closer to 45,000 or 48,000? Nick, start with you.
48.
Thank you. Johnny Crypto.
You know, that was my one word. Actually, that's 2 words. Let's go with, I'm going to be the bear. Let's go 45. Need time to accumulate this stuff.
Okay. Arcane? Oh, he's muted, so we're never going to hear his answer.
How many days did you say it was? Did we until the price moves?
Until Monday morning.
Oh, I'm just going to say up. Everybody likes to hear the word up.
Up. Perfect. Benjamin, wake up from your nap, please.
48.
48. All right.
I hear myself echoing in Nick's square. You know what we should do? We should do Hollywood crypto squares.
We should.
Yes.
That would be good. All right.
Bruce Valanche.
You are the Bruce Valanche. All right, Arcane, you won today. Let's hear what you got for your parting words as we end this Friday episode Around the Blockchain.
Well, first off, a big shout out to Mr. Ben Armstrong here, the entire BitBoy squad. J Chains, Johnny Crypto, Nick Diamonds, always a pleasure. I had a great time chatting with you guys today. I love doing this because these are questions I don't normally ask myself, so it's fun to kind of be put on the spot and come up with new answers. If you haven't followed the Arcane Bear, do so. If you haven't followed any of the other people that are on this show today, make sure you follow them as well. Smash that thumbs up for the final get-go, and hopefully we'll see you guys again on one of the episodes here in the future.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you to our wonderful panel of guests, and for you guys at home, thank you for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Everything that we do here and everything that our guests do here. All right, this will do it for this week's edition of Around the Blockchain. We'll see you back on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Have a good weekend.